better, and I'm taking better care of myself as a result. And so,
Okay.
you know,
Good.
it's like a reset. So, it,
Okay.
All right.
Let's see. It
So,
is 2 o'clock, and it is time for Model Citizen. We're on the radio, I would assume.
yes, we are.
Okay. I forgot to check that. I'm sorry about that. Because I'm old and I forget, I have to get like a younger guy to do this for me. Okay. Okay. Hey, there we are. Okay. So it is 2 o'clock. It is time for Model Citizen. I am your host, George Dayer. I am flanked by my wonderful host, the angriest of IT nerd, and I know why. I think it's Apple computers making him angry. But anyway, and my other wonderful co-host, James, Printmaster James. You are listening to Model Citizen on GCPR.live, and we are also streaming on our YouTube channel, exclusively on our YouTube channel, GCPR. Ghost Call Productions Radio on YouTube. The business end of the program is we have two sponsors, since I spoke to a sponsor last week at their sidewalk sale. We have AAA Hobbies in Magnolia, New Jersey as our sponsor. And we also have Ralph Tenaglia from Tenet Controls. Tenet Controls bringing models to light. So, gentlemen, how are you? What have you not been doing this week? Because I have not been doing anything this week.
Well, yeah. Oh, I'll let Gilbert go first. I'm always a little too anxious to jump in there. So I let Gilbert go first.
I honestly, the same. I have not doing much of anything. Not really. I've kind of looked at a model of Rodimus Prime. I've been trying to eye at, but I have to rig it up. So, going through Blender and trying to, put the bones in and rig it up. And so that way it can make it look like how I want to look, because, the last thing I need is for it just, just for either be just like a straight line, or if I can finally get it up just to be just like a T shape, you know what I mean? So
is he going to be holding like a weapon, or is he be holding like a big brick?
I'm debating on it. I'm debating on that, because on the images he's supposed to hold this is kind of like a different design of Rodimus Prime, and this one is holding a bow and arrow.
Huh.
So I may do that, but I may do the bow and arrow with like a brick on the end of it, So.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the bricks. Yeah, and I know you like bricks. Forgot about that.
Right. And so yeah. That's me.
Yeah. So I guess probably the only thing. Well, I've been doing a couple things. Well, one thing is I'm actually doing something for my office, or the company I work for. They're planning on having a thing they do every year, and a lot of companies do every year, is that bring your kids to work, kind of thing. And my kids are like, well, they're men now, so they're definitely not coming in the office with me. But the woman that's coordinating it, I had shown her some of my, some of the stuff that I had been doing, like with 3D printing and the scanning and all that stuff, and stuff I did for like Wonderfest, last year. And her husband owns like a machinist shop, where he does fabrication, as his thing. So the good news there is that I also now have access to an actual workshop with lathes and all that other stuff.
Oh, nice.
So that's good news on that front. But getting back to this bring your kids to work thing, is that she asked me if I could basically design. They're planning on having like this competition between different groups of kids, and where they're going to be basically. I work for a financial firm, and she asked me if I could basically design and 3D print a number of models of the original building that the company was based in, back in the early 18 or back in the 1800s is this one building down on Wall Street, and I think it's still there. So, but basically the competition will be is that they'll be like, you know, buying like certain sections of this bank building, you know, this old like
Cool.
Gilded Age sort of thing. So, I've been working on that. Actually, it was this woman's husband who has the machining shop. He actually did like a cardboard mock-up of the base of it, and so I've scanned that in, and I'm going to be designing the things around it to kind of like add on like the windows and the portico and all that stuff, doors and what have you.
Very
And
cool.
and I'm also attempting to make like using AI. I might try to make like a 3D version of the CEO of the company. So just to show them what I'm capable of. So yeah, so there's that. And I guess the only other thing I've been working on was, and you've seen it, George. I've been fooling around with this game engine. Well, actually, this like simulator thing that you can get it on Steam, but this game called Simple Planes, and it has like a
Oh
really
yeah, I saw it was the Ark from When Worlds Collide, was that?
yeah. So
Yeah, that was cool.
Okay.
yeah, so it's pretty cool because they made it fairly easy for you to import like an object model of something. So I've done like the UFO and all these spaceships and stuff that I've done up like in Fusion and 360 and what have you. And so I was able to pull those in and then kind of mount them. I kind of like design like a generic flight model, the engines and all that stuff, and then I was able to kind of like
it kind of looks like Microsoft Flight Simulator. Like it starts off from an airfield and then it flies up, and then you can get all the different views of it. And I was like, he put the Ark from When Worlds Collide. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you can fly it,
Yeah.
and the UFO. And so now, but they both have like different sort of like, I guess like flight models, because one is more like a VTOL, you go up and down sideways, and but yeah, it's just limits of whatever your imagination are. There was another one I did that you probably haven't seen the video of. I kind of designed like an imaginary suborbital nuclear space bomber. It's kind of like a 50s kind of thing, and that's another one that I've done. So, it's kind of interesting. It's like a little bit of a break from doing like the physical modeling to actually, coming up with these models that you can actually sort of play with in these sort of like virtual environments. And, so, I could take it from there. It's like, and this also has like a VR component. I've also got like a VR, like Steam headset.
Oh, yeah.
A thing, and so literally, you can recreate like cockpits and things like that of just about anything you've seen in any movie, and
Yeah, I saw where you did the Interceptor from UFO.
Yes.
That
was like a first one. That was kind of crude. I need to go back and revisit that one. So
did you do the flying sub or
I'm going to. No, there was somebody else. Somebody else had done the flying sub for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And,
okay.
So that one was like a very, very old model that I had. And so, as these things get better and better, they're getting more and more photorealistic, and the quality, the capability of these video cards, and so I guess that's sort of model building in a way. I have the same sense of like when you're building a model and you're painting it and setting it all up. There's that same sense of satisfaction you get when. Even though I could 3D print these things out, but I can't get inside the 3D printed model, kind of fly it around or what have you. So.
Did you? I had met Ed Bailey. I don't know if you know Ed from AAA Hobbies. He's a big Star Trek. Well, actually, he works at AAA Hobbies, but he likes all the sci-fi models, all the car models and stuff. I was talking to him and he does a lot of 3D printing, and he was showing me some of the figures he was printing. He was printing the guys, the characters from Heavy Metal, the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the ones with like the plutonium Nyborg, where they had the little thing, putting the like plutonium, but he was printing all those things. He had like the little robot with the big ears and everything, and all that stuff. So showing, and I said, I said, "Hey, did you check out this? There's this thing on it's online. It's an AI. It's called Zoo,
So
and
okay.
it is a text to
Yeah.
3D CAD creator. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
type in your
Mhm.
text,
Yeah.
what like the part you'd like to see, and it renders it for you. And then and then there is a thing where you can convert it to an STL, and you
Right.
can
Right.
print it out
Oh yeah.
on your
Absolutely.
printer. So say like like if you the one of them is a 5x7 it's like a 5x7 slab with 4 drilled holes in each end. You type
Mhm.
that out and
Yeah.
then you hit render, it renders it, and then you can actually like manipulate it in 3D
Oh,
because
absolutely. Yeah.
it has its own 3D on board. And then when you go to save it, you can save it as a CAD drawing. You could save it as an STL to print it out.
Right. Or an
And if
object
you,
file, which
yeah, yeah,
OBJ,
yeah,
OBJ,
yeah, we could do
OBJs and
anything.
STLs are the most popular
Yeah,
exports formats.
yeah.
But
So yeah, I mean, you can
yeah,
export it as anything you want. You
yeah,
could print it. It was very, very interesting. I was just playing around with it.
it's all amazing stuff.
Yeah,
Who knows where it's all going to end? But but it's kind of cool though. I like the fact that it sort of democratizes um, you know, for people to be able to, if they had, quite often people have the idea of something that they'd like to do, but getting it there is the hard part. It was the same thing for like
Mhm.
scratch building.
yeah,
It's like for years I was like,
Yeah.
I would every time I attempt to scratch build something, those first initial attempts were always like. I was like, you look at it, and I was like, oh God, what is this thing? It doesn't, and but then with each iteration, it got you get better and better. But those same skills, I discovered that when I started doing more like the 3D stuff, those same skills come in very handy for
yeah.
doing
Yeah.
so. And now you got the AI stuff that can help you out too. So
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not. I mean, I don't even have a 3D printer. I just don't have it. And people go, "Why don't you have a 3D printer?" Oh my God, they can open
I
up
might
so
have one
many
for you.
avenues. And I'm like,
Yeah,
"What?"
I might have one for you because I've got too many of them right now, and I got to unload. My wife's getting on my case, and I've got
I'm
more
very
coming.
sorry. I love your wife, and I'm very sorry for you. But if you want to offload one to me,
Yeah,
just
yeah. But,
She's
just
like,
throw
I'm
one
not
to
going
the
to
old
turn it
guy.
down,
what's that?
I'm not going to turn
What's
it.
that, Gilbert?
She's like, George is like, I'm not going to turn it down. I mean,
Why would you? Why would you?
but I mean, if you just happen to be,
Yeah. Well, you know me. I got to always have like the latest thing, and so my
but yeah, I mean, but you could have like a print farm going, like print this
yeah,
one
but
out,
then
print that
Yeah,
one
you
out.
could,
it takes
yeah.
a lot of electric. I can't tell how many times I've popped my fuse, trying to do too many things at the same time. Pop my
Well,
fuses, it's
yeah.
like you find out which circuit is what in the house is. It's like it's, yeah. I've been thinking. I was like, I need to call the electrician out here and get. I mean, I could probably do it myself, wiring it up, but I'd probably be in violation of the town codes and stuff, or burn the house down.
Need a big,
We get some dedicated circuits just for that.
need like a
Those,
bigger receptacle panel. Yeah, I need
yeah,
one with like 150 breakers.
It's like, sir, what do you need that for?
yeah,
3D printing. What are you 3D printing?
Uh,
yeah. It's amazing how much power, heat, and things like that these
Yes.
things can sometimes, especially if if you have to. Have to have that heated bed. There was one that was like during the winters, like sometimes I didn't even have to heat up the garage to be out there because I had like, 3 or 4 of these things going and the heat beds were so, hot, and I had the enclosures and stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
it's something else. So,
Yeah, I was talking to my friend John McCallum, and he goes to this place to go get his 3D filament, and they had they had two Creality. I'm going to say Creality. No, they had 2 Elegoo Mars printers there.
was it resin printers? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
they they were used that somebody brought in and didn't want them anymore. They were giving them away for $5 each.
Really, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
and
there's a
he bought
learning
2 of
curve
them.
with that. Yeah, as you could probably vouch to, Gilbert. There's a huge learning curve with those resin printers.
Yeah.
It's like you have these things, you send them off to print, you think, oh yeah, this is absolutely going to come out, and then you come out the next morning, there's like a glob of shit
yeah.
in your vat, so which is really frustrating.
So needless to say, yeah, it's a lot more of a learning curve with resin than it is with filament.
Yeah.
But needless to say, James was right, is that you could set a print, walk off, and then it could take like an hour or so. So let's say it takes an hour. You come back in an hour, you just have like half of it hanging off.
And it's usually like during the last 10%, it's like suddenly the whole thing just like, comes
it just globs off, and then it just breaks off. It's still in the vat, and still everything is still printing up, but
a lot of that really take a lot of people who have like, big, they're all gung ho about it, but it's getting through those disappointments, and you don't know why they're happening sometimes. That really, some people get into it and they'll get out of it and they just say, I can't do this, which is sad, because it's really just a matter of, experience and knowing what to.
It just more or less just kind of like getting to know your printer, sort of thing. That how to set it. How much your exposure time. I mean, the environment he needs to be in.
TTH, time, temperature, and humidity. That's it.
Yeah.
So exactly. And all of these things you don't ever think about. You don't think about humidity. You don't think about the temperature.
No.
You don't think about anything like that, because it's comfortable to you.
Life, right?
It's comfortable to you. So it's like, I'll never think about that. So, and
if you go if you go to Amazon and you watch the video, it comes out perfect, and and you got all these things behind the guy. Oh, I did this. I did a vase for my wife. I did this. I did that. I'm like, yeah, but you have the perfect environment. You must have the perfect environment. Like a controlled hospital environment with no dust, no spiders. No, I've had spiders crawl into like my resin and like get stuck, and harden inside the resin. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I just poured this damn thing. I'm like,
look here, man. They're not going to show the bullshit, okay? They're just going to show what comes out good. They're only going to show the good ones.
Yeah, the other thing is show. Like with some of these resin printers, it's the fumes. I damn near killed myself when I first got these things. I was like about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, why do I feel so awful? And and I was like, after a while, I said, well, yeah, because I've been spending so much time out in the garage, and and I wasn't really ventilating it too well. Oh. And I mean, they have these
pink elephants,
huh? Oh, I don't know.
Seeing pink elephants?
Yeah. So, but I bought one of those air quality things, to check air qualities, and it was like going out there, and I was like, this is like, I should have been dead. So, but anyway, so now I have much more
definitely, definitely air filters. A lot of air filters. Yeah.
Some of that they kind of work, but they still they don't get everything. And
I mean, it's not
these air filters. Yeah.
It's not 100%, but it's definitely something's better than nothing.
Nothing. Yes.
You need that. You need like that fume extractor that like
exactly.
we used to use. At Sanofi, like at Sanofi Pasteur, where I live. They have these fume extractors in the labs. I was like, this would be perfect for 3D print, because it it pulls it up, it scrubs the air, and then it sends it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what you really need.
Yeah. It's
I was talking to John McCallum about that, and he said, well, I got the thing for $5. I said, yeah, but you need a curing station, you need a washing station.
Yep.
You're gonna need a fume extractor. You're probably gonna need certain thing like a cool, dry place to keep all. He goes, I never thought of that before. So I estimated it all out, because my wife said, oh, well, you could get one. And I said, I can get one. And then I looked at it and I was like, well, wait a minute. it's $220 for just the printer, which is okay, which is good.
Yeah.
That's a good price.
For what it
And
And I
does. Yeah.
said, well, wait a minute, the resin is what? Is $50 a bottle? Maybe
No,
45?
no, it's not that expensive. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
Well, not
depend
yet.
on
Maybe with these tariffs coming in, who the hell
well,
knows?
depending
So-
on what kind of resin you use, and the way these tariffs are going to show. Yeah, it could be anywhere from like
Yeah.
$50 to like $300.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like 20. It was like 20 a bottle. I think it was like 20. It was
So,
20 a
something
bottle.
like that, depending on
20, 30 a bottle. Yeah.
Yeah,
about $30 a bottle for like I guess like a half liter or whatever.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
Liter,
okay.
half liter, or something
I'm
like
like, okay, so I got the resin, I got the printer, and like then I looked at the the curing station, I looked at the washing station, I looked at the it's isopropyl
Oh,
alcohol to wash
that. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
that's another thing they'll make you say.
isopropyl. Yeah, and that's another thing you don't realize that you need as well is
Yeah. Yeah.
isopropyl alcohol. Yeah,
it. You need like
Yeah.
gallons of that stuff. Like you have to
Yes,
buy like a
yes.
55-gallon
Yes.
drum just to wash
Yeah.
stuff.
I
And I was
found
like,
yeah. Yeah, I found out you don't ever want to stick your ungloved hand into that, to retrieve something. Like if something falls to the bottom of the cleaning bag.
no, you
wanna
don't.
be-
You,
My hand like shriveled up for like
and I read this. I was on Reddit, and I was doing some research on because this Mars printer was a printing, right? And so I came across a story where this guy was using a resin printer and got some resin on his hand and made the mistake of not wiping it off and decided that he was going to, since he was working in resin and it just hardened to him, he's thinking that it just hardened, so he'll go out in the sun, let it harden, work while he's working out with those other prints, let it harden, and he'll just
Peel
flake
it
it off and,
Yeah,
and
peel it off.
just like just like glue,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
a little Elmer's glue or whatever. He did not realize the type of burning that will happen.
Oh my gosh, it gets really hot. That's
Yes.
absolutely. I found that. I found that out with like regular resin. It's like I was thinking, used to use like these. I'd find like like those cool like acetate blister packs and things like that. Sometimes they have like some cool shapes or whatever.
Mhm.
And the first time I tried to do that with like resin, I said, "Oh, this is going to look great." And next thing I know, it's like the whole thing just like collapsed and melted because of the heat chemical reaction. So these are the sort of things you learn, right?
Yeah.
But those UV activated resins, it's like, holy mackerel! Yeah,
Oh my
it gets
God,
hot.
yeah. So and he
Yeah.
said the burn, the chemical burn that happened to him because of that is.
Yeah.
He showed a picture of it as well, and it was like the entire, almost his like whole hand. You can see it was just like bubbling. It was nasty.
Yeah,
Oh, it
like
was
a third,
burned just different.
It's like
Oh,
a second or third degree burn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was nasty.
Yeah, the I think the exothermic
Exothermic,
reaction
yeah.
on resin is 500 degrees. I think it's like 500 degrees. That's why the molds, the new molds that I like new mold rubber I've been getting from from Smooth On will give you about 100 pulls. I used to get the one I used to get the one from Micromark. There's a magazine called Micromark.
Oh yeah. The one
And they,
place in New Jersey.
they had resin, they had mold rubber. I could only get like maybe 20, 30 pulls from a mold before it started to degrade. It started actually pulling the thing. Then I started I just started reading about it. This one guy said, because like my basement is very cold. It's like 52 degrees all the time. And especially in the wintertime when it's it's 17 outside, it's about almost 50 downstairs, so that's why I usually wait till it's the summertime and then I sculpt and then I cast and things are in like the 60s and it's fine. But I think I told Gilbert the first time I made a mold, with it, I think Micromark said, "Oh well, you have to build a mold box and you have to have this and that." I did everything that he said, and it was this little piece. I think it was like a sphere. I was just doing like a basic shape. I was doing a sphere, and I'm pouring in the resin. I'm pouring 8 ounces now. The sphere took only 5 ounces of resin, and I mixed up a batch of 8. Okay, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm pouring it, and I'm pouring it, and I'm pouring. I'm like, man, this thing is taking a lot. Like, it should be like 5 ounces. And I mixed up another batch, and I'm
What?
pouring it, I'm
Really?
pouring it, I'm pouring. I'm like, didn't see anything. All of a sudden, my right leg starts getting very warm, and I'm like, it was dripping out the back. I made a 2-part mold.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was leaking out the back through the mold box, and it was leaking. It
Oh my
went
God.
it went underneath the desk that I was, using in the shop. It was traveling, and I didn't know, but I inadvertently made stormtrooper armor because it dripped. It soaked my jeans,
Right, right,
and
right.
it was starting to heat up. And I was like, my leg is starting to hurt. And all of a sudden, I pull back. I went, oh my God, taking my pants off. I tried to take my pants off. It ripped all the hairs out of my leg.
Oh my God.
Oh my
And then I
God.
just I let the thing. I had like a 2nd-degree burn on my, like a chemical burn,
Yeah.
on my leg.
Mm.
And when I was working at Metrologic, the one summer, the guy said you should take baking soda and just put baking soda on, and just let it kind of set up, and then kind of I forget what the other the Noxzema, put like the Noxzema on it
Oh gosh, I haven't
did
heard that
that.
brand in a
Oh.
long time. But yeah.
Man, yeah.
for like for sunburn, and I was okay. I did that, and it was fine. I still have a little bit of redness on the leg, but I'm like, wow, it was. But you live and you learn.
Exactly.
I learned,
Yeah.
like I learned not to do that anymore. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I
yeah.
did that,
Yeah.
and then I started putting stuff. I started making like mold boxes out of plastic instead of wood.
Yeah.
Because it would seep through the wood, and then.
Yeah.
But now I'm just doing like, I'm not doing 3D printing. I'm doing more cardboard brush with resin, which I like. So
Yep.
I'm just trying to do that. I've been looking at I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you just reminded me of something. I saw something on YouTube, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I thought it was a really interesting thing maybe an experiment to try out for, like, if you're coating, say something like cardboard or what have you, or foam. Is that I saw this thing where somebody took like a bunch of like X packing material, like the XPS, like the stuff you like the peanuts, the styrene or whatever
right.
it is, to give her packing material. And the guy took like a small bucket of a small thing of acetone, and he just kept pushing,
Oh,
dumping the
yeah. I
foam
know what
in
you're talking
there,
about.
and until it became kind of like a syrup, kind of like a very thick sort of.
The gasoline, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. What's that? Gasoline?
Yeah, it was gasoline. Gasoline will melt it,
Yeah.
and it'll melt the styrene foam, because it's basically just the styrofoam, which is like styrene.
Yeah.
It's actually whipped up almost like cotton candy, basically.
Exactly.
And then the one guy used acetone, the other guy used gasoline,
I don't know if I'd use
like to
gasoline.
melt it. But yeah,
I don't know about
That's asking
that.
for trouble.
the acetone,
I
but
mean,
it makes it into
right?
a very, very strong glue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you,
But I thought this guy was using it to like coat. I was like wood or something. Something where he wanted it to be like smooth, and then he was able to paint it later. I don't think with enamels, but I think he was painting it with acrylics. But I thought that was a really interesting. Because that's quite often, you're trying to look for something to kind of like just even out the surfaces, and it was like self-leveling
yeah.
too,
Mhm.
So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. Anyway, I didn't mean
No,
to.
no,
Yeah.
I found out because I was contemplating building the Avenger class Star Destroyer, but I wanted to do it out of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was talking to Mike Scott did his out of cardboard,
Ah.
and he actually, I think he overlaid it with like with fiberglass. But I said to him, if you brush it with resin and you let it set up, you can actually glue styrene sheet to it, and there's your styrene base to put all
Yeah.
your greeblies on.
Right.
And
right.
it goes, oh, he goes, how much weight does that add to it? I was like, it adds some weight. Like, it depends on the thickness of the styrene sheet, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be that, it's not like trying, um, because the original, Star Destroyers, I think they did for Empire Strikes Back and for Star Wars, were made out of Perspex, and
Yeah.
it was like, I think it was I don't know if it was quarter inch, maybe eighth of an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, eighth of it.
Like for the Battlestar
Okay.
Galactica too. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Battlestar Galactica. I saw that thing at the Universal Studios tour at the Sands, the casino down in Atlantic City when they did the Jaws exhibit. So they had Bruce the Shark, and they had the original Battlestar Galactica. And I was looking, I was like, that is really awesome. But the armature, man, the pole coming
Steel
out of
pipe,
the bottom,
Yeah,
it's got some weight to it.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow. But
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's funny. It's like you mentioned, like that pipe. I was like, and then but then when you saw at the Smithsonian where they have the Enterprise, they have the original stand that the Enterprise is on, and it looked like this little, kind of crappy looking, very minimal little, metal, triangular base, and I was looking at it, like that thing was holding up that model while they were filming it. I was just like, it still had a little bit of the blue paint on it, still.
yeah.
But they have it next to at least they did, displayed next to the model. But but then you look at like that thing they had for the Battlestar Galactica. I was like, how are they, how's that thing so?
It was on was it Battlestar Galactica? Well,
they could mount it from different angles too, I guess, because they had like the overhead shots and the undershots and all that stuff.
There were different. Yeah, they did that with Star Wars. That was the thing that they pioneered on Star Wars.
Yeah.
The side pieces of the X-wing, where by the cockpit, if they're showing like a side shot, each each piece, there's a little hatch that pulls off, and then there's like a wiring harness in there for the lights.
Yeah, right.
They just put the thing in, and they mount the pole. So it's basically a cross inside it's like a cross-hatched pipe inside the model, to the side. So they can mount the armature here. They can click it on, and they could actually put like the wiring harness on, and then they're only going to show that they're only going to show. So say like if they mount it on the left side, they're going to show the right side of the model.
Yeah.
Coming down the Death Star trench, you only saw the left side, so they mounted it on the right side of the model. And then for the scenes where you see like the 12 o'clock high thing where they're kind of diving in,
right?
Yeah,
that's mounted on the back of the model, but that's mounted onto it's mounted onto it's like a motorized mount. So it basically turns the model.
Oh, right. Yeah, the motion
control.
control.
But it's on blue screen. Yeah.
Well, work in conjunction with the motion control, so it could mimic redo those movements. So, yeah.
Yeah. When they were doing the I was looking at some of the behind the scenes when they were doing the motion control for the Star Destroyer. They actually mounted they actually created this little periscope for the camera. And it was real small so that they could get in real tight on the surface of the Star Destroyer. But one shot was they put it too close. The camera went and it hit the model.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kind of like scraped it a little bit. And they said, no, you can't do that. And they had to do it all again, but they had to reassess the height as they were coming in. And yeah, I've seen that sort of thing. I had a friend of mine. His dad was. I grew up near a naval military base in Jacksonville, and a friend of mine's father was one of the managers. They had like this, back before they had computer flight simulators. They had like these analog sort of flight simulators where they would have like this massive sort of like miniature like mounted on the side of this one wall. And there was like this, XY controller that would kind of move this little camera, and it had like a little periscope thing.
and you could see he was showing me like, okay, well, this is where it screwed up, and and the guy crashed, but the thing actually didn't stop, and so the camera just like went like right into the dug this trench into the thing. And so what they would do is that whenever that would happen, is sometimes they wouldn't repair where the gash was there. They just kind of like make it look like, and they got like a little miniature like a P3. Well, these are P3 Orions, like the Sub Hunter airplane, and so they got like a miniature P3 Orion. They kind of stuck it there like it had crashed, you know. It was like, you know, in the hillside there. So there's a couple of those all around this flight simulator. But yeah, that was like back in the 70s or something. But I was that fast. That was an incredible thing. It was an incredible thing to see. But anyway, those accidents happen.
It's kind of like that. The motion control system. I think that was the Dykstra Flex cameras.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the one who pioneered that.
But, well, you know, it's interesting because, you know, that Dykstra Flex was really just like a digitized controlled version of what they actually did for 2001. You know, whereas in 2001 they were using like these, I forget what the names of the motors were, but they were manipulated manually. You know, like they're like moving the Discovery for that one scene, you know, because that wasn't done like in one shot. That was done as kind of like animation, but it enabled them to kind of move these things and repeat the pattern, you know, because it was all like analog, but they, you know, just have to go back and just kind of move these motors a little bit so that the camera could take the time exposure while it's moving. And so when Trumbull did Silent Running, he kind of brought along those same sort of techniques of being able to shoot these models. One thing also to get the depth of field, because, you know, you use a very small aperture and, you know, get the exposure.
So you don't get, so you don't get like that blur in the background. You can get an overall depth of the entire model.
Everything's in focus. And so, but Dykstra worked on that. That was like, I think one of his first films was worked for Trumbull under that. And, you know, and by the time Star Wars came around, you know, they could basically afford like, you know, fairly inexpensive like mini computers. I think they use like a DEC digital equipment PDP-8 for the controller on Star Wars, but it was the same principle. So you could he invented the Dykstra Flex. But that idea of shooting things that way, that goes back to like 2001 Silent Running. So and I don't know who designed that on 2000. I don't know if it was Trumbull or if it was, you know, Kubrick. Kubrick did actually, you know, a lot of people say Kubrick didn't really do the special effects in that film, but he definitely was involved and designed a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because the guy understood optics and photography.
Oh yeah, he had those. He had that. He had that lens. That was used for that was used for Hal's eye.
Oh yeah, the Nikon.
That was
that.
That lens, like that fisheye lens.
Yeah.
It was in the tour, the exhibit that was going around.
Oh yes,
it was in New York. Yeah.
Yes.
It had. I mean, he had a collection of just so many lenses and so many cameras, and I think he was like a collector. I don't know if he was a collector of cameras,
he probably
optics,
was,
but
yeah. He was a nerd at heart, you know. But yeah.
So I was I printed out a logo of the Green Hornet thing. I was going to ask you, James, if you'd be willing to do a 3D stand for Gilbert's Black Beauty, but it would have to be larger. I didn't know if it should have like. If it should have kind of like raised relief. What?
Yeah, well, if you have artwork, what I can do is you just send me the artwork, and you just basically give me the dimensions and shape of whatever you want for the stand. But with these programs, it's very easy to import the artwork, you know, and do like it'll automatically emboss the like the logo or whatever artwork you have. You know, it's like a 3D shape, so it's kind of like stands out, you know, like it's like a raised sort of thing. I've done that, you know. I don't have the examples here, but I did that for like my little. Oh, easily. Yeah, I can make that like a 3D thing. We can have like the wasp, you know, have like the yellow background, have the wasp itself kind of raised up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and the legs and everything else. And
Well, I was thinking kind of like a if if the round border can be raised up a little, have the wasp as kind of like a three-dimensional relief in it, but then pour a clear resin to kind of like like kind of like fill it in, and then just put the car on top.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would look great. Yeah, or you can put light. I could even do it like in translucent resin.
Oh, yeah.
And you can, if you wanted to, you could like, kind of sand the bottom of it so it diffuses the light. But you could have like a, like light coming, like an illuminated base. Kind of. I don't know. Just as an idea, something to think about. So I could do two versions of one of each, and you can pick, decide how you want to do it. But that would be a piece of cake. That'd be like a no-brainer. To pull off. Just need the dimensions and the artwork, and then we're good.
Yeah, I'll. Well, the car's like 10 inches long. So I don't know. I was thinking like 11 or 12. Well, 12 inches in diameter. That's a lot of resin.
It says here that the car is 9 inches in 9 inches in length.
Oh, okay.
So
I get
I say like 11.
11 inches.
Like 11 inches diameter. Yeah.
Yeah, they could probably do that.
I got to. I have these for iron-ons. I have to send all these to you guys. The Model Citizen with the GCPR logo.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll have to put up a little. Because Tony Hardy always he always has like a table to like show stuff. I think this year it's going to be the Rocketeer or something like that. It's like some anniversary. Was it the Rocketeer? I don't know, some anniversary for it. But anyway, so he decides what he wants to display. Last year was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. We'll put out some of these, advertising the show and everything else.
Okay. Oh, cool.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe I'll try to pick up a couple of new sponsors, additional sponsors too.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you're doing a Rocketeer? You're making that?
Well, he's doing the Rocketeer.
Oh,
I love the Rocketeer as a movie, but I just like it's not. It doesn't capture my muse right now. So if it doesn't capture my muse or it doesn't incite me, it's not happening. So yeah.
I'm talking to Mike Scott about that, and I said there was something going on with him and props on the RPF, and he goes, "Oh, those guys, they're
yeah, that's another
going on," and I was like,
yeah.
I was like, they were arguing over the belt buckle for the Rocketeers pack. I mean, there was this big argument, and it was like 27 sub threads of one thread. I was like, really? You guys are arguing over it?
It takes the fun out of it, That, there's people that are like that, and it.
It's the fans like that just suck the joy out of everything.
Yeah, and it's not it's not unique to this hobby or I was a big part of like the Godzilla fandom, like back in the earlier like 5 or 6 years ago, and it's like Star Wars fandom or Star Trek. There's like this toxicity that kind of builds up in some areas, and you get this sort of like ridiculous sort of cliquish behavior, so, and it doesn't do anybody any good. It's just like we're here for, especially for something that's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Right.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. So any of you listeners out there, you're one of those people.
So don't. So just stop being like that. Just cut that crap out.
I could be annoying. I could be extremely annoying sometimes. Like somebody will they'll show me something, and I think it's something's great, but I'll say, well, it's not. That actually is not. I'll say that. I will do that, but it's not meant in a sort of malicious sort of way. It's just sort of
constructive criticism.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, did you know Did you know?
Said, did you know?
And I've been corrected too. I've been corrected too, and I always like that when somebody when they justifiably correct me. It's a learning opportunity for
Just
me because
Yeah.
justifiably.
yeah, justifiably.
There's a word.
That's the. It's hard to get to
Said-
that stage where I think it's justifiable.
Said the
but,
key word justify.
Instead of just being, mean just to be mean. Yeah.
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 And there's people like that. I mean, and especially for somebody who's like, like when they're just starting out. It's like I was telling, like when I was first, doing my scratch building, and again, after learn, doing the resins and the making the patterns and all that stuff, and I did one of the flying saucer from Invasion of the Saucermen. Yeah, because there wasn't a model kit that I could find anywhere of the thing, and I just always loved that design. Anyway, I showed it to, I forget who the guy was, but I brought it to Wonderfest, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's cool, that's great," oh yeah, give me ideas. This one guy comes out, he goes, "Oh, that looks like a piece of shit,"
Well,
And I was
thank
like,
you.
"What?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's totally, it's not symmetric." And I said, "Well, I didn't really know what to say to defend myself, But oh yeah, I think I remember who it was now. He's not a bad guy, but he can be a bit of a dick, Yeah, I won't mention any names, but yeah. But he's a very good modeler, I will say that. The stuff he makes is really extraordinary. But
his name is Dick.
yeah, well, the Dick,
Dick
so.
Dick, the Dick,
The dick.
Dick Johnson. Dick Johnson. There you go. Dick Johnson told me. Okay,
Mr. Johnson, yes.
It's Mr. Johnson.
That's it.
Yeah. Actually, I found out where they got that term, where Johnson. That's a different discussion though. But I found out, I recently discovered where that came from. So, Mr.
And
Johnson.
you could apply it to Wonderfest. So.
Yes. Yeah, that's where I'll Boy, this conversation took a turn.
I heard the B9 guys are not going to be at Wonderfest this year.
No.
The guys did all the all the Lost in Space stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, you can't do it. Some people can't do this stuff every year. I mean, I know the Space 1999 guys are going to be, and they're bringing back.
No, they pissed off Marta Kristen, the people.
Oh really?
Wonderfest. They pissed her off. And I was
She's
like,
not coming, because
"Oh."
I saw where she was coming back.
I saw she was coming back, but I don't know if she's coming back. So I'm like,
Really?
so where?
I guess you see.
Where they? Yeah, I guess we'll say where they actually where they had like the setup of all the B9 robots and R2D2 and
It's usually they had like their own room. Like
that room is gone. They got rid of it. But the hotel got rid of the entire area.
Really? Yeah, they were doing a lot of
that's what I heard.
changes there. A lot of I didn't, interesting.
So
I know they got rid of the swimming pool. So that swimming pool is supposed to be like a new exhibit area. I think. So
okay.
It's kind of a shitty swimming pool anyway, but so no big loss. And you could never go in there because there's always a bunch of kids and shit. Yeah. That's I'm an old man now. I can say things like that.
Yeah.
Bunch of brats.
F them kids.
Yeah, screw 'em.
So yeah, yeah. I'm going to be working on some stuff. I've been looking at SKS, SKS props on YouTube. They do a lot of foam armor and stuff like that. That's
Okay.
That's really where I got the template for the Doctor Doom mask to do that. But they did it in foam. I did it in cardboard, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just brush it with some resin. So I just tried that, and it came out pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it. Let me see if I can get it here. It's sitting on top of my printer. Not my 3D printer, my regular printer. This is the Doctor.
Oh, very nice.
It's all done. So
Very
I'm
nice.
cardboard with resin. I got like the little doll eyes from from AliExpress.
Yeah. So I guess you don't need like the back of it or whatever, because you're gonna be wearing a hood or whatever.
I kind of made that, but it doesn't really work too well. I may put one of those the head, the headband form that you would put into a hard hat.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You can
yeah,
make it
Yeah,
adjustable
yeah,
to
yeah,
your
yeah,
head.
yeah,
Put that in here.
yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah,
I made it
yeah,
big enough.
Oh
so
yeah,
that,
that'll definitely work. Yeah.
yeah, so that it'll fit over your glasses.
yeah,
So like I
yeah.
made it big enough so
Oh, right, right,
it
right.
can
Sure,
fit
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Well, it can't.
Well,
fit
maybe over the
here.
headphones too.
Yeah, but it'll definitely fit over your glasses, and
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
And
How
it
about,
just has
is
to
one
be
is
painted
one thing
some.
I was thinking at some point. I'm not really a big superhero guy, in the superhero stuff. But I there was a time when I was a big DC comic fan. I guess like in 74 through like 76, where I was like, and I ended up being a real big fan of Doctor Fate. I was like a big Doctor Fate fan.
Oh, Dr. Fate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool
Cool.
mask to make. Yeah.
Oh, the helmet. Yeah.
Yeah,
The helmet.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was always
Oh, yeah.
kind of weird looking, So, but yeah, maybe one of these days. So,
Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll make it out of cardboard and send it to you.
yeah, cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can
we'll brush
scan
it in resin.
Yeah,
Nice.
Brush it in resin. You can paint it if you want to,
yeah, yeah,
or you want me to paint it.
yeah. Well, you know,
Good.
in for a penny, in for a pound. Yeah.
If it's I was telling Gilbert about Molotow paint, the chrome paint.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really,
Yeah, with the
really,
pen
really
and
great
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have to make sure that
Yeah.
you spray whatever, like you put down like a gloss black base,
Yes, yes.
spray that stuff
Mhm.
on, and you'll look like a Cylon. It'll be like
Absolutely, yeah. Did they
yeah.
ever do a copper? Did they ever do a copper?
They do a no. I think they did a gold one. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if they do have a gold. They have a mirrored gold one,
Yeah.
which would make the Cylon Centaurian Commander
Oh yes.
helmet
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Doctor Fate's helmet. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Doctor
gold.
Fate's helmet's all gold. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to look into that. Yeah, just I gotta change the nose on that Doctor Doom. I don't really like that nose. That nose kind of points down.
The
It should
nose
be
knows.
a little bit straighter. What?
The nose knows.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the nose knows because the nose is nosy.
Yeah. What was that? What's that? I think that's from the old Fruit Loops commercial. Toucan Sam, the nose. knows wherever it
yeah,
goes.
the nose knows.
Flavor
The
of fruit
nose
wherever it
knows.
grows. There it is. Boy, my memory sometimes. It's like you get older, you get these
Or from what
synaptic
was it?
pathways or whatever.
A Sleeper with Woody Allen.
Oh
He's
yes,
got
yes.
our leader's nose. Stay
That
back,
movie
or
was
shoot
awesome.
this nose.
Somebody should do a couple of models based on that movie. You got like the flying pack, and you got like those crazy cars they had, and you had the dog, Wolf. With it.
Scraps. Yeah, his
Yeah,
name
yeah.
was
Go get him,
Scraps.
Scraps. Go get him. Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. I'm Scraps. He's not going to be leaving like little batteries all over the place, is he? I knew it was too good to be true. I got a parking spot right in front of the hospital. I bought IBM at 4. It should be up millions by now.
Oh, that movie's terrific. And that's funny. 'Cause
yes.
that I didn't realize it years later. That was actually based on on an old H.G. Wells story. Did you know that?
No.
It was a story
Really?
he wrote. It was called "When the Sleeper Wakes." Essentially the same story, but I mean, not written in a comedic sense. It's just that. But yeah. It's,
And they were talking about Howard Cosell, like going,
Oh,
we
yes,
believe
yes.
that in your society, whenever, a person did something bad in your society, that they were subjected to listen to this man for hours and hours. Yes, that's exactly right.
yes, that's exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was just looking at an old. I can't. You look at YouTube while you're in bed sometimes, and they came across the old. You remember when Ali and Frazier were together, and they were like going over like this one fight, and Cosell was there, and it's on YouTube. But somewhere or another, like in between like commercials or something like that, Frazier and Ali actually got into it. They were like fighting, and and Cosell's going, and this, it's like I can't believe what's going on. But it was really funny. I'd forgotten all about that, but I remember watching that as a kid. But anyway, yeah, Howard Cosell. Yeah. Nobody ever. Yeah, can't replace that guy.
No.
What a character.
Oh man, Howard Cosell. I always love hearing hearing Howard Cosell doing commentary.
Yeah.
It was just hilarious. I loved it.
Oh man. Yeah, I think he was the first guy that I remember asking my parents about. I was like, "Is that guy's hair for real? Is that real hair?"
At the celebrity roast,
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali tries to grab his
Oh yeah,
hair
that's right.
and
That's
pull it
right. I
out.
forgot about that. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, I'll tell you, the dialogue between those two, man, is priceless. It's God,
This is
Ali
how
was
it
so
goes
funny,
down.
man. He was such a funny guy. I mean, such a natural talent in so many ways. Yeah. Great, amazing. Yeah.
We
Oh,
we were
man.
talking. Well, I think we were talking about V. Well, the miniseries, and they had Howard K. Smith, who used to
Oh yeah,
do news reports
ABC,
before
yeah.
every episode. Yeah, before every
yeah.
episode. I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah. A little touch of cinema verite there. You know. It's
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But
And the
yeah.
hero of the week goes to blah, 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 who defended against all the aliens. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to watch that show again. I remember that show. The underlying theme of that show was actually about fascism, wasn't it? Wasn't that
Yep.
really kind of the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Boy, I
the
forgot
Trump
about that.
presidency. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. The lizard people. Or they think we're the lizard people, but.
Who was I talking? I think it was. Wait, I was talking to. I'm talking to Gilbert about. We were talking about V. I think it was, and then we were talking
Yeah.
about the remake of V that
They
was
made a
done
remake?
like
I
by.
don't remember
Yeah,
this.
they did a.
They did
They
a
did
remake
a
in
2000. They did a 2009.
2009. I think it was 2009. Yeah.
2009 remake of V, and the leader was played by Marina Balkan from
From, Firefly. Yeah.
and then her mother they brought in as Jane Badler, who was older, and she was like her mother was on the ship,
Yeah.
and then they had a fleet that was waiting to come and invade Earth to take all the water and all this other. Yeah, it was real. I was like, you know what? Listen to Cecil B. DeMille. Never remake a classic.
Yeah.
Like they tried
Yeah.
to remake, The Day the Earth Stood Still. When that movie came out
Oh.
with Keanu Reeves, I had
Mhm.
kind of high hopes for it, but I was like, look, with it. You made classic Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Don't try to change the formula.
Yeah.
And they
Nope.
tried to change
Yeah.
the formula, and it turned into Pepsi Zero.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It turned into like Pepsi with lemon
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like,
Right.
As soon as I
And-
saw the ads with the with the robot they had, it was like this really bad CGI. What I recall.
Oh,
It was like,
yeah.
it just looked ridiculous, and I said, I'm not gonna even bother. So
so
yeah, but,
we have 2 minutes. I'm keeping an eye on the time. We have 2 minutes to 3, but
Well,
I just want to take.
I have a
just one
I have a tiny four-legged terrorist that wants to go outside.
Oh, okay.
is it
his dog.
Felinus or Canis?
Canis.
Caninus.
Caninus.
Caninus. Yes. And okay, all right, hang on.
It's for the it's Astro, yeah.
Astro.
Or right. So, I just want to thank our sponsors, AAA Hobbies in Magnolia, New Jersey. They do have an online store called megahobby.com.
Yep.
Also, our other sponsor, which is Tenet Controls. Tenet Controls, bringing models to light. It used to be life, now it's light. Okay. Oh wait, it was light, then it's life. I don't know. I forgot what the juxtaposition
Fight,
was.
flight,
I'm gonna have to
same
go
thing.
back and watch our interview with Ralph and figure it out again. I'm getting old. I gotta have all these little things in front of me. I'm like, okay, well, say that, say this. Okay. So, I just want to thank everybody for being here, and it is 3:00. It is time for friendly differences, I believe, on GCPR.
Friendly
so-
differences.
Yes.
Friendly differences.
I didn't know such a thing existed. There's differences and there's differences. Nothing friendly.
And they're friendly too.
I'm just
Sometimes.
So I just want to thank Gilbert, the Angry IT Nerd, and James, our print master, for coming on and being with us today. So everyone from Model Citizen, from